Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Bhagavad-Gita as it is, Chapter 2, Contents of the Gita summarized, texts 68 and 69, page 140. So I'll read 68 and then we'll chant 69. Tasmat yasha mahabhoho. No, I'm chanting that. Grihitani sarvashaha. Indriyan artevyas. Tasha pragya patish tita. Therefore, Almighty Arm One, those whose senses are restrained from their objects is certainly of steady intelligence. Text number 69. Ye nisha sarvabhutanam Rajam jagati samyami Yasyam jagati bhutani Sanisha pashato muni. Someone else? Ya, what? Nisha is night. Sarva, all. Bhutanam, of living entities. Dasyam, in that. Jagarti is wakeful. Samyami, the self-controlled. Yajam, in which. Jagriti are awake. Bhutani, all beings. Sa, that is. Nisha, night. Pashyataha, for the introspective. Muni, sage. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. What is night for all beings is time awakening for the self-controlled, and time awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sage. Purport. There are two classes of intelligent men, One is intelligent in material activities for sense gratification, and the other is introspective and awake to the cultivation of self-realization. Activities of the introspective sage or thoughtful man are night for persons materially absorbed. Materialistic persons remain asleep in such a night due to their ignorance of self-realization. The introspective sage remains alert in the night of the materialistic men. The sage feels transcendental pleasure in the gradual advancement of spiritual culture, whereas the man in material activities, being asleep to self-realization, dreams of the varieties of sense pleasure, feeling sometimes happy, sometimes distressed in his sleeping condition. The introspective man is always indifferent to materialistic happiness and distress. He goes on with self-realization activities undisturbed by material reaction. Nam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti-yoga Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pishani Navase Shunyavadi Bhaskachadistani Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasudeva Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I have to apologize. Came down with a little happiness and a little cold, so I'm not able to sing tonight. I hope I can speak clearly, everyone can understand. So from verses 60, Arjuna asks the question in verse 64, or is it 54? What are the symptoms of those consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak? What is his language? How does he sit? And how does he walk? So, Krishna proceeds to answer these questions. But he's giving there's the external meaning and there's the internal meaning. So in these last verses of this chapter, Krishna is giving the internal meaning, describing the Muni, or Sthiti Muni, the sage who's fixed in Krishna consciousness. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, with the it says, Ayur harati va pumsam udam astam chayam aso dasharte yad sana nitya uttamasloka vartaya. By the rising and setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all-good personality of Godhead. So, this verse says, what is night for all beings is time awakening for the self-control. A time awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sage. So the time factor, time and tide waits for no man, and Lord Brahma is the original creator. So he lives for 100 years and he creates all the universes and all the living entities. And when he goes to sleep, every day he goes to sleep, there's partial devastation of the universe. And he wakes up again, then the universe is again comes back to normal. And then at the end of Brahma's life, all the living entities are wound up in the Mahavishnu for some time. And then when the creation is again comes into existence, those living entities again come out according to their karma and receive a different kind of body. So this is the cycle of repeated birth and death, and how the living entity is bound up in the material world. He's bound up from the time he enters the material world, and he continually goes through different bodies up and down, bhutva, rupa, paliyate. So there's 8,400,000 species. The living entity is going through all those different species, and only 400,000 are actually human species. And we heard that only 20% of that are actually civilized human beings. It means a civilized human being is someone who has accepted a spiritual master and is found living according to the Vedic regulations. So, but in this age, in Kali Yuga, it's hard to find. Most of the population is uncivilized. And there's different degrees of uncivilized people. Even though in Kali Yuga, this is called the Iron Age, Kali Yuga, people are very proud. They're proud, the scientists, they're very proud of the modern civilization. And everyone, they're thinking that it's a very wonderful thing. But we know that modern civilization is not permanent. It's due to destruction, because they're twisting the arm of nature in so many ways and manipulating everything in so many ways that sooner or later the modern civilization will have to come to an end, because they're taking all the oil out of the earth, they're polluting the air, they're polluting the water, and there's not unlimited supply of these things. All the necessities of life are being manipulated. So there has to be a karmic reaction. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So the people don't know this, and so they go on exploiting material energy. But we have individual karma, then there's collective karma, family and karma of your community, karma of the country, and karma of the whole world. And so the karma, we see that the karma of the world is being exhibited by so many natural disasters, earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes. These things are due to the impious people of the world. So There's one song, Jeev Jago, Gorchanda Bole, Kotanija Yaomaya, Picharia Kole. So it's saying to the sleeping, living entities, wake up, sleeping souls. Here, talking about day and night. There's the day and night, 24-hour period. But the materialistic person is always in the night, and the self-realized person is in the day. Sri Upanishad says, the killer of the soul, whoever may be, must enter into the planet knows the world of the faithless, full of darkness and ignorance. And those who engage in the culture of nescience activities enter the darkest region of ignorance. Worse still are those engaged in the culture of so-called knowledge. The wise explain one result is derived from the culture of knowledge, and a different result obtained from the culture of nescience. Those who are engaged in the worship of demigods enter the darkest region of ignorance, still more so to the worshipper of the impersonal Brahman. So actually the whole material world is a dark place. But only due to the sunshine we get light. So not only is it a dark place, but people, the materialistic people who are blind to self-realization are also living in the dark place. Same thing. And it says they go to the darkest region, it means they go to hell or lower planetary systems to suffer for all their impious activities. And the materialistic person, they're attached to the material way of life. So it says here they dream at night about, it's actually their whole life is spent dreaming about how to make plans, how to get so many material facility to enjoy their senses. But this is what Prahlad Maharaj calls chewing the chewed. You take a piece of sugar cane, you can chew it for some time, then you spit it out. So you get some sweet taste. But if you pick it up later and chew it again, you won't get any taste. But this is what materialistic people are doing. They're trying to enjoy material world in so many different ways. But it's chewing the chewed, the same old thing. They're never satisfied. It's like lust. It says lust is the all-devouring sinful enemy. So the more they try to enjoy, it's like try to put out a fire by putting more fuel in it. It just burns and burns. It won't go out. So they can't satisfy their lust. It says that even men who are between the ages of 65 and 85 are still trying to enjoy sex life. So this means that they're asleep to self-realization. They're asleep to what the goal of life is. In the Devi Du Sarvakati Vishnu, the goal of life is to go back home, back to Godhead, not to remain in this material world and continue to suffer. It says the Brahma Bhuvana Loka, from the highest planet down to the lowest, are places where repeated birth and death take place, and where everyone's suffering in so many different ways. But people, due to the covering of Mahamaya, when the living entity comes into the material world, he gets the covering, his soul is covered by Mahamaya, the material energy, and he's given a false ego. These living entity, we have a mind, intelligence, and false ego. And we have a gross body made of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So the man with false ego, he blind to what human life is meant for. The human being, the human life is not simply meant for living like the animals, eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Or they want karma, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. The religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. But hardly anyone knows anything about liberation. So the whole world is set up so that men will stay in ignorance and try to get as much sense gratification as they can, unaware of what life is meant for. So they're misusing the human form of life. Even though there's so many universities and schools all over the world, people are going to school thinking they're getting an education. But Prabhupada called these schools slaughterhouses, because people are getting educated how to learn some technology so they can facilitate their sense gratification, so they can make more money, so they can have more material things to perpetuate the illusion that somehow we can be happy in this material world. But it's not possible, because the threefold miseries are there: Adi-ayatamic, Adi-daivik, Adi-bodhic. Miseries caused by the mind and the body, miseries caused by other living entities. You may sit down in a quiet place and these flies will come, mosquitoes will come. Or you may decide to take a trip somewhere and a storm will come, rain or snow or whatever. So in this way, the living entity is always suffering in some different way, so many different ways. But they've tried to counteract the suffering by inventing air conditioning and heated cars and big highways and big this and that and big buildings and restaurants and movies and internet. But these things are only temporary, and they don't give real happiness to anyone. It's like it's all just a phantasmagoria, like a horse in the sky, or horse eggs, or flowers in the sky. It has no reality, it has no substance. It says, Deino smenyata dehe, komaram yovinam jara, dhyan jarapaptir, diras chacha namuite. From boyhood to youth to old age, one continuously passes, and then at the time of death, one again has to take another body. So this is the nature of the material world. And no scientists, they cannot change this. Scientists are making promises that in the future we're going to stop death, in the future we're going to make everyone happy, in the future we're going to stop disease. But this is not possible, because the laws of nature are arranged in such a way that these things must go on and must be there. So the intelligent man, people, the leaders of society are like blind men, or because one blind man leads another blind man, and they both fall in the ditch. Or the leaders have made a stone boat, and what happens when you get on a stone boat? It sinks. So all the people in the world are sinking, gliding down into hellish condition. The government is supposed to be responsible to see to the welfare of the people, to see the welfare of all the living entities in their kingdom or in the country, including the animals. But now it's probably killing the whole slaughterhouses, killing of cows has become is rampant all over the world. And because they're killing cows, they can't have any peace in the world. All the wars that are going on are a direct reaction for killing innocent animals, killing cows. As we know, the cow is the most sacred animal. So if you have to kill a cow, if you want to eat meat, if you have to kill an animal, it's recommended you kill a goat or a deer. But one should never not kill a cow, because the cows are the most sacred. All the demigods reside in the body of the cow, and it's the most pleasing animal to Krishna. So therefore, the cows should be protected. All the animal, all the people, all the citizens of the state should be protected and be trained to become intelligent men. Not intelligent materially, but intelligent spiritually. So this is the problem. So here it's saying that the living end was daytime for the self-realized, is nighttime for the materialists. So it's also true, not only this is a metaphor, but it's also true that when the devotees are rising, Prabhupada said all the devotees must rise before 4 o'clock, come to Mangala Arati, or you can't make any spiritual advancement. So when we're rising at 4 o'clock, come to Mangala Arati, the materialistic people have been out all night, having a partying, thinking they're having a good time, and that's when they're going to sleep. So it's just the opposite. The devotees never, unless they have late night program or some preaching program or something, or they're sick. Otherwise, all the devotees should attend the Mangala Arati, because that's the Brahma Murta hour. That's the most auspicious time for making spiritual advancement, for practicing spiritual life. But the materialistic people, they don't know that, and they think they're having, it's a great fun. Young people like this, everyone likes to stay up late, especially on Saturday and Sunday nights. That's when everyone's up late, trying to have a good time, getting intoxicated on so many things and going out to nice restaurants, thinking they're having a good time. But then the devotees are also out at night doing the Harinam Sankirtan, chanting the holy name, to try to wake up people that they're not going to be happy by taking intoxication and having sex life and living like cats and dogs. Tila Prabhupada said this is simply cat and dog society, misguided society. Everyone is simply interested in eating, sleeping, mating, defending. So they're sleeping, always sleeping to the idea, to the knowledge that life is meant for tato brahme jignasa. Life is meant for making inquiry. The intelligent person is inquire. When you look in the sky at night, we inquire, what's in the sky. We see so many stars, we see the moon, we see so many planets, but we're always inquisitive to understand what is taking place there. But so the Srila Prabhupada, at the age of 70, he came to America to wake up the sleeping, conditioned souls. When he got off the boat in Boston Harbor, first the boat docked in Boston Harbor, and then it went on to New York, final destination. But he could see that everybody in the West, in America, was simply in the mode of ignorance and passion with little goodness. And he was prayed to Krishna, I don't know why you brought me here. How will these people ever understand the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam? They're so much engrossed in material life. So Srila Prabhupada struggled for 1 year, finally established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness in New York City, and gradually the movement started to expand. And because to the innocent souls, it's actually an offense to preach to faithless persons. So Srila Prabhupada was able to find innocent people. If people are faithless and don't want to hear about God, don't want to hear about self-realization, then we leave them alone. We don't try to preach to them, but we give them a prasadam. People may not want to hear the philosophy, may not want to chant even, but they can take prasadam because that's our secret weapon. Even if a dog takes prasadam, it'll get a human form of life. So to save people from gliding down to hell, we're giving people prasadam, we're giving people the holy name, we're giving people philosophy. And those who are sincere souls, like all of you sitting here, have somehow had the sukriti from past life pious activity that you had chose to take up Krishna consciousness. But they asked Srila Prabhupada, what would happen if the whole world would become Krishna conscious? And Prabhupada said, everybody would be happy and joyful. The whole world would be peaceful and joyful. So it's wonder why more people don't take to Krishna consciousness. Because they don't have the proper pious credits. And they're too much absorbed in simple activities, especially eating meat, illicit sex, gambling, intoxication. If you are eating meat, then your brain cannot function properly. But there was one man in Maharashtra who was a politician, and he also had a meat restaurant and a liquor shop. And he was a very cruel and sinful person. But his father was pious. So at the time of his death, his father requested him to read one book, one shastra from South India. I forget the name, but his father requested him to do that. So when his father died, he went to the place where they kept all the books, and he brought out that book and he tried to read it. But he couldn't read it, he didn't understand it. But then in the same place there was the Bhagavad-Gita as it is. And he was attracted to the cover, and he started reading Bhagavad-Gita. And simply by doing that, gradually he sold all his business, gave up being a politician, gave up all his bad habits, and became an initiated devotee along with his family, and they're all engaged in devotional service. So this is the way in which we can wake people up. Prabhupada wanted the book distribution to go on. He said the Madanga can be heard for 2 blocks for a short distance, but the books are the Brihat Madanga. So Bhaktisiddhanta ordered Srila Prabhupada in their last meeting at Radhakund, if you ever get money, print books. Because books when people get a book and put it in their house, they never throw it away. If they get a hardbound book like the Bhagavad-Gita, they may not read it, but they'll put it on their bookshelf and keep it. And you never know who's going to read it. Somebody else in the family may read it and become a devotee. So one man in Delhi, his son-in-law got a Bhagavad-Gita from someone on the street. He gave it to his father-in-law and said, I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to read this book, you take it. So he read the Bhagavad-Gita and he became a devotee. So in this way, we're trying to bring about a revolution in society, which is a very difficult job. When someone's insane, it's very difficult to make them sane again. So the whole world's insane, looking in the wrong direction, looking for sense gratification instead of self-realization, or trying to understand that I'm not this body, aham brahmasmi. So this is what we have to realize, that I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul, and the business of spirit soul, Jivar Subhoy, Nitya Krishna Das, I'm eternal servant of Krishna. So the ignorant man, they're sleeping at night, and the introspective sage, or the thoughtful man, he is one who has realized his self and realized his position. It is said in the Bhagavad-Gita that it says, Mamchayo vicharena bhakti-yogena sevate sagunam samtitaitam jaitam brahmabhuya kalpate. One is engaged in full devotional service, does not fall down in any circumstance, and one transcends the modes of nature and comes to the level of Brahman. Brahmabhuta prashanatman asoshitina kanchati samasarveshu bhuteshu ma bhaktim labate param. So when one comes to the level of Brahman realization, or understanding I'm not this body, and he never laments for anything, he's always joyful. Therefore, he's always awake. Srila Prabhupada himself set the example how he utilizes time. A man in Krishna consciousness does not like to waste his time. He's very careful to see that every minute of the day is engaged in somehow in Krishna's service. And we should also try to develop this understanding, be diligent in this way, that from the time we wake up in the morning to the time we go to sleep, we should try to fill up our day with Krishna conscious activities. And there's so many different Krishna conscious activities that we can perform. But in this age, it's Harinam, 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 Eva Kevalo, Kaluna Stevan, 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 Gatiranyata. So the chanting the holy name, this is the process for this age of Kali Yuga. No other process will be effective. And so those who have accepted taking initiation, have made a vow to chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra on the japa beads every day. And that takes about 2 hours or 2.5 hours. And then the rest of the day, whether you're in Vrindavan or in a temple in the west or wherever you may be, you can distribute books, you can do deity worship, you can clean the temple, you can do so many other services. 9 processes of devotional service. And in this way, we can keep ourselves engaged in Krishna consciousness. And also, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smarnam. The most important is to chant and hear. So hearing or reading Srila Prabhupada's books, if we have a lot of extra time, we should take the time to read all of Srila Prabhupada's books. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Nectar Devotion, all the books. This is important that we do this. This will keep us strong in Krishna consciousness. And also, we're following Vaidhi Bhakti. So we have to follow the rules and regulations. Rupa Goswami says that if you don't do, there's things that ruin one's devotional service, and that is we should follow all the rules and regulations and not act whimsically. Therefore, everyone is required to attend all the morning programs and to keep us strong in Krishna consciousness. We should not think that, well, I don't have to come to class, or I don't have to come to Mangalartik, or this or that, but that will not help you make advancement. So we should not make excuses and think that I can do something else, but we should make it a habit to come to all the programs. Vaisheshika wrote a book, Family Business. He also stresses the fact that if you want to be a good book distributor and you want to be fixed up in Krishna consciousness, then you must have a good sadhana. Sadhana is very important, and that's what we're talking about here, becoming fixed up. The person, introspective sage, he's fixed up, or he's on the platform Uttama Adhikari, and he's detached from all material activities. So the materialists may not recognize the devotee. To recognize a pure devotee, one has to be a pure devotee, or be in the mode of goodness at least. So the materialists, when they see the devotees, they don't understand our activities. And sometimes they're envious of us, or they give us trouble, or they say we should get a job. But this is because they're ignorant of the fact that whatever the devotee is doing, we're doing it for the service of Krishna, for the pleasure of Krishna. Although our activities may be the same, we're cooking, we're cleaning, we're going here and there in cars, driving, but the activity seems to be the same. But it's not, because devotees are doing everything for the pleasure of the spiritual master, for the pleasure of Krishna. But the materialists are doing everything for their own sense gratification. So is the gulf of difference between the life of a devotee and the life of the materialists. Oftentimes in India, they accuse us of being with the CIA. The CIA is the secret police in America, undercover police. So Prabhupada said, what's the CIA doing in the Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement? Some CIA agents came to the temple, said they pretended like they wanted to become new devotees, new bhaktas. So they joined the bhakta program for 2 days and said, we can't do this. It's too hard. So what's the CIA doing, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, shaving their heads, walking around in bed sheets, and going on the street chanting Hare Krishna? So this is a very ludicrous conclusion. The people in government, they came to this conclusion because we had they seen us we have so much money, but we don't work. So they couldn't understand where we're getting our money from. Because we were getting our money from selling books, from collecting donations, so many different ways. But somehow they came into this misunderstanding. So if people take the time to examine our activities, examine our movement, then they'll see we're actually making first-class men instead of fifth-class men. Everyone in the world, they're fifth-class men following 10th-class religions. There are all so many different religions in the world, but they don't tell people they should give up eating meat, give up intoxication, illicit sex, and gambling. So in many different religions, they give people wine and they give people meat and so many sinful things. But the Krishna consciousness movement, we don't accept any of these things. So they asked Prabhupada, what's a first-class man? He said someone who's given up all these, no meeting, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex. So this is the difference between the materialistic people and the devotees. or the introspective sages. And here it says that the devotees are getting pleasure by the gradual advancement in spiritual culture. The Prabhupada said, if you're not happy in Krishna consciousness, it means you're in the mode of ignorance. So they must be doing something wrong. So if we're feeling undisturbed or unhappy in Krishna consciousness, then we should take shelter of the senior Vaishnavas and try to find out what the difficulty is. Otherwise, Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, Goloke Premadana Harinam Sankirtana. This chanting the holy name has been brought to the material world from the spiritual world. It's a transcendental sound vibration. And by chanting the holy name without offense, everything will be revealed to you. Your identity as a spirit soul, your identity in the spiritual, everything will be revealed if you can chant the holy name without committing offenses. So this is what we're trying to aim at, not to have to remain in this material world, to try to make our life successful, become Krishna conscious, and go back home, back to Godhead. So this verse describing night and day, it's the night for the materialists because they're out partying at night and sleeping all day, and it's day for the Krishna conscious person because we're awake in the early morning and all day long engaged in Krishna conscious activities. So it's either both cases are true. But to understand this verse, we have Srila Prabhupada's purport, which is talking about the materialistic man who's asleep, the self-realization, and the sage or the thoughtful man who's awake to Krishna consciousness and awake to going back home, back to Godhead. So that's all our time. Anybody have any comments or questions? No questions? All right. I'll give him the microphone. Microphone.
You mentioned that an advanced devoting Krishna consciousness doesn't like to waste time. An advanced devoting Krishna consciousness doesn't like to waste time. But sometimes we can fall into the trap of justifying the activity by using Krishna consciousness to justify it, or like Srila Prabhupada said this and said that, so therefore I could do this. So I was just wondering how to be aware of not to fall into the trap of wasting time but justifying it, so you never really rectify your bad habits. How to overcome those kind of pitfalls.
Well, you should do everything according to Guru Shastra Sadhu. Well, just a matter of common sense. You know, if I have to check my email, that's Krishna conscious. But then when I'm checking my email, I may watch a movie that's not Krishna conscious. So we get diverted, get distracted in so many different ways. So we should use our intelligence, say, no, I don't. My intelligence says, no, I shouldn't watch a movie. My mind says, well, it looks like a good movie, maybe I should watch it. So you have to be intelligent to understand what I should or shouldn't do. It's always the mind. The mind is our worst enemy, our best friend. So the mind's always telling us to do things that are not Krishna conscious. Our intelligence tells us to do things that are Krishna conscious. So it's a matter of individual, as make advancement in Krishna consciousness. You don't want to do things that are not Krishna conscious. You don't want to hear things that are not Krishna conscious. Sometimes we fall asleep in Bhagavatam class, but when we hear some news, then we perk up. Because we're more interested in hearing news about the material world than hearing Bhagavatam. But advanced devotee, he's not interested in hearing mundane news. He's interested in hearing Bhagavatam. This is according to our advancement in our association you keep. If you keep good association, then you won't fall into that trap. But if you keep bad association, young devotees, they tend to associate with young devotees who want to do nonsense things and then get caught up. Hare Krishna. Glory to Prabhupada. Mantra Sri Bhagavad-Gita as it is. Bija.